I'm Ella,
And I'm Tyler.
and this is the Oracle Sportscast.
In this episode, we're going to be recapping the game against MTSU on Saturday. So, Ella, a heartbreaking loss, but nonetheless, the Tech team fought back and showed some promise. What are your comments on that?
I feel like this game really showed an insight on what this season is going to look like with this new team, this new coach, and how this program is really going to change for the good.
No, I agree. I want to start at the quarterback position. Obviously, Dylan Lible, he got the start. There was a lot of controversy in the preseason on who was going to get the start. He wound up starting. He got hurt. He threw a pick. Jordan Potts came in, played well.
Yeah, he did. He did really good, and I feel like looking into the season that we might see him more on the field, and that might not be the worst option here since he did do so well against MTSU.
I agree. A guy who was a freshman last year came in mid-season and sparked the team, sparked the offense. Did the same thing in this game against MTSU. The team, we were down 21-0. Potts comes in. We get that field goal before the halftime. Obviously, the safety to make it 21-5. And then in the second half, the team just completely shifted.
The team really took off in the second half, and I'm really hoping that that's going to show how the season is going to go and got those pre-game jitters out during that first half.
No, I agree. Just like I keep saying, it's an overall great performance by Potts, and he seemed to find a connection with Ashton Maples. 2 touchdowns for Ashton. You love to see a senior leader like that get involved in the game. So in the throw to Jordan Yates in the back of the end zone was nice.
Yes.
Yates made a good adjustment to the ball. Defensively, Tech completely shut out MTSU in the second half. Talk about a little bit about that.
So I'm really liking to see that we're already having these quarterback and receiver connections. I felt like we didn't see that as much last year. I felt like we saw more of a running game. And so I'm really liking that we're seeing that more this season. And looking on the defensive side, I feel like last year we did struggle a lot with these high-scoring games and not being able to stop the ball. And during that MTSU game and seeing the end of the score, I felt like we have a really good chance this season to be able to stop some players.
Yeah, I want to give a quick shout-out to Aaron Swafford. The pick six that got called back was a game-changing play. They called Theron Gaines for targeting on that play. He was pressuring the quarterback, and he, I guess, leaned forward and put his head in the quarterback's helmet, which they do call it targeting, but nonetheless, it was kind of a controversial call.
Yeah.
Had that have stood, what would that have meant for the
Honestly,
game? I
feel like that play really changed the momentum of the game anyways and got the team rolling. And even if it would have happened, I feel like not much would have changed except the score.
Right, yeah. Well, had it stood, we're looking at what that would make the score, if we went to the extra point, that would have been 24-18. So then it's a one-possession game. We wound up getting a stop on defense on that possession anyway. We go back on offense, and Potts drives us right down the field and throws another touchdown to Ashton Maples. So the biggest thing to me, and I'll let you touch on this here in a second, was the fight. The fight back when we were down 21-0.
Yeah.
What would most teams do in that scenario?
Well, honestly, looking at Tech's team last year, we would have been a team that just stopped and crumbled right there. I feel like in some games last year we'd be down 2 runs, and you'd still see us slowing down and not trying as hard as we were if we were tied during that game.
Yep, I agree. I think if you ask Coach Wilder, you don't want any moral victories. That's all the time what the coaches say. That's just pure coach talk. You don't want moral victories. But as a fan, looking at the game, you have to come out of that game with positive thinking for the season and the future of Coach Wilder and the Tech.
Yeah, especially if people did watch the games last year. You can already see how Wilder is changing this program for the good. Your team has a whole new positive outlook on the game. I mean, they just kept rolling, and they did fight back. So I'm excited to see how the season's going to go.
Yeah, very impressed with the Tech performance. First game as Derek Mason as a head coach at MTSU, he did get the win. However, the Golden Eagles going into conference play, now I know they play Georgia this Saturday, but going into conference play, you have more confidence now than you did initially, I think.
Yeah, I feel like during preseason, everyone's still kind of looking at last year's team and being like, oh, there's nothing there. But after this game, I hope people are seeing that Tech is something to watch out for.
I agree. The preseason, you talk all about the offensive weapons that the team has, and they, for the majority of the time, showed up, especially in the second half when Potts came in and gave the spark. You've seen guys like Jordan Yates catching the touchdown at the end of the game. It's nice to see some of those new guys already having such an impact.
Yeah. And even talking preseason, Dylan Lible everyone was saying, oh, he's going to be our quarterback. I think it was awesome seeing Jordan Potts come in there as a last year player and showing that there is still hope with those players from last year and that we don't only have to watch transfers.
Right. And going forward, there will still be, I won't say a quarterback battle or a controversy or anything like that. I think what you have here is a good quarterback room.
Yes.
You got two guys that can both play and play well. It's a shame that Lowell got hurt, but it's good to know that you've got Jordan Potts who can come in the game and lead the offense efficiently.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how they deal with that moving forward. Who gets to start when Lowell comes back and is healthy? It'll be interesting to see how they go with that. I still think both guys will play for the majority of the season.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see who gets the full-time starting job.
I'm excited to see that we do have a quarterback rotation this year stronger than we have in the past, and that we could pick these quarterbacks with what situation we are in. And I feel like we have lacked that in previous seasons. So I feel like that's something this season is going to be a good positive outlook to watch.
I agree. And the flashy player is Dylan Lowell, like you mentioned. He got a lot of preseason hype. Guy coming from Missouri and played at Hutch Community College before that, a program that has produced Alvin Kamara and Cordero Patterson in terms of NFL talent, among many others. He's bound to get some hype.
Yeah.
He's got a big arm. He can make a lot of throws. But Jordan Potts, a guy who was there last year as a true freshman, the team already knows him. It was just fun and like warming to see a guy like that perform so well.
Yeah, it was. And coming into a guy like Dylan Lowell, where he has played in the past. He has got more playing time as Jordan Potts did last season. When Jordan Potts came in late last season and got his playing time. I'm excited to see how they both develop with Tech as a team and with our receivers and see the connections they're starting to make.
Right, and it's only week one, right? So this team can get a lot better throughout the season. I'm really just overall pleased with the momentum that they've built from this game one, because a lot of people didn't expect them to do what they did.
Yeah.
They just didn't. National media and whatnot, but that's not what matters. What the team mentality is, that's what matters. So good to see that. It'll be interesting to see going forward defensively. I thought that Tech played well in the second half. I mean, that's something you have to credit them. Not only did we score a lot, we stopped MTSU multiple times in a row.
Yeah, we did, and I feel like I keep talking about last season, but last season, this season, you can already see such a difference. Like, last season, we struggled getting those stops, and we did lose our momentum so quickly. And even on the offensive side, I think that we struggled to score last year. We had trouble finding connections. We were running the ball, barely getting yards. But this year, you can already see that the ball is moving, and our defense is making those stops where our offense can get on the field more. So I'm so excited to see how this season unravels and unfolds.
I am too. And the leadership on defense is what I'm really interested in. You got guys like Daniel Rickert and Hudson Tucker at both defensive end positions that were there last year and were very productive. A guy like Aaron Swafford, we've already mentioned him with the pick six. He had a nice football game Saturday night.
Yes, and he even had impactful hits last season, and so I'm excited to see that he's keeping that going and still being a standout player this season.
Right, great, like you said, great player last season. He's getting preseason honors already as an OVC player, all OVC player. He's another leader in that linebacker group he'll be showing up multiple games.
Yes.
We're going to hear his name a lot this year. He led the team in tackles with 79 last year. Moving on in the secondary, arguably your most productive player in Tim Kutris showed up, had a good game, but you didn't need him to just bail you out.
Right, yeah, and I think that's good to see too, that this team is coming together and working together, and that's going to make them a stronger team this season. Absolutely.
A guy like Caldra Williford had an interception coming right out of halftime. MTSU got the ball in the second half, and Williford picked off MTSU quarterback Nick Vattiato, which was a big turning point. It was good to get that momentum out of the half after you'd gotten that field goal previously.
Yeah, I feel like we had so many momentum plays during this MTSU game, and that's so good to see, and I hope that we can continue that, especially in like big games like the Georgia game. I do hope that this game doesn't kill this team's momentum and we can keep it going.
I agree. It's ideally you would want to go into the conference play after a momentum game like this. That's what I've been talking to a lot of people about. But nonetheless, Georgia's the next team on the schedule, and we're gonna play them. They have to play us too, you know. So it'll be interesting to see how what that game looks like going into Athens. I'm interested to see who the quarterback's going to be first, the starter. You know what I mean? I'm interested to see how the defense responds. If we are to get down early, how do they respond? Do they fight back like they did against MTSU, or do they not? So. Yeah. But regardless of what happens in the Georgia game, like I keep saying, in OVC play, you have a lot more confidence going into OVC play now.
Yeah. And I just hope playing the number one team in the nation. I mean, that's Georgia for you. They're going to be probably in the championship game this year.
Wouldn't doubt it.
But hopefully this game doesn't absolutely kill Tech's momentum. And that's what my biggest fear is right now, is that going into conference play, they're going to be looking at this Georgia game. But I hope they have in their mindset that this is the number one team in the nation they're about to play, and hopefully they just take the good out of this game.
It's going to be a hostile environment regardless. Sanford Stadium, one of the toughest, if not the toughest places to play in all of college football. But like I said before, they have to play us too. They have to prepare for what we have for them also. I liked what I saw offensively from Tech and just the plays they were able to draw up on Saturday. I liked that wheel route to Ashton Maples.
Yes.
I thought offensive coordinator Brian Scott was able to draw up some nice looking plays and to kind of bring some versatility to the offense that we've not seen here recently.
Yeah, we had some very strong plays I saw. And last season, I feel like it was just kind of, you saw the same rotation of plays. It'd be like 3 plays, you'd have a pass, and then you'd have 2 runs, and then a pass again. But I feel like during this game, we saw such a wide range, it was hard for MTSU's defense to be able to change and defend us.
I agree. I'm very interested to see what the game plan is going into the Georgia week. Tech has weapons. We saw a lot of that on display Saturday. A guy like DJ Lincolns could have a potentially good game. If Ashton Maples keeps playing like he's playing, we're going to be just fine there. Jordan Yates can play ball. Tramel Jones is somebody who's a speedster. In the running backfield, we saw Jalen Mitchell get carries. We saw Torrin Baker. So the options are there.
Yeah.
So I'm just very excited to see how it all comes together.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you play better, you get better, and I just hope that these boys keep making the connections that they have been making, because at the end of the day, Georgia's just another college football team, just like Tennessee Tech is, and everyone has to play the same game of football, and as long as we can make connections and have our strong defense, that we do have a chance to compete during this game.
That's a good way to look at it. They're both college football teams. You know, it's just the number beside the team doesn't indicate anything once the ball gets kicked off.
Yeah.
Then it's a different ball game. I want to move on into talking about Spencer Ashby, freshman punter, OVC Player of the Week. That's an impressive feat. Talk a little bit about that.
I'm excited to see that we're getting this recognition early in the season, and hopefully that's going to help the special teams momentum and help Spencer Ashby continue on this season. I was looking at some of his stats earlier, and it was, I believe, 32.7 yards he averaged. And I know that one of his longest punts was around 40-something yards, which I think is incredible. He even had some go into the end zone. And I think that's so exciting to see, because most people don't look at your special teams as being a big, impactful part of your game. But at the end of the day, they're the ones that change the direction from offense to defense, and you need them to set that momentum. This has been the Oracle Sportscast. Join us next week for a recap of the Georgia game and to look into the Tennessee State and Tech game.